It is time.
Hey guys, you're here with Galaxy Jams Reacts. We got special guest Gabriel Marin from Consider the Source. Today we're going to be listening to my favorite guitar player, Ed Wynne. He's from the prolific psychedelic rock band Ozric Tentacles, and he's made another solo album with Gre Vanderloo, who is a synthesizer player that goes under the name Grace Rooms. This is their album that just came out July 15th, so just a few days ago. This is Ed Wynne with Gre Vanderloo, their album Tumbling Through the Floatyverse, with their song Infinity Curtains.
We've done some shows with Ozric.
Ooh, nice.
Yeah, I've had the privilege of opening up for them one time, and I'll never forget it.
We've played, I think we've done a few shows with them. We've hung with them a few times. And Ed Wynne's son is a cool dude, too.
Yeah, Silas.
Well. Yeah, Silas. He was in the band with them. I mean, if you put this on, I'd be like, is this Ozric? This definitely has,
dude, exactly.
Because
I feel like the last 4 Ozric albums, he wrote, most of it anyway.
Yeah.
The last 4 or 5 of them.
I mean, they were very ahead of their time.
Oh my God,
they
I
were
know.
very ahead of their time.
Dude,
band.
if they were playing this stuff now, like on the Northeast in the jam band circuit, they would be like bigger than all these other ones, right?
Yeah. If they look the part, they'll have to look the part.
Yeah, well, they look like wizards.
They do. I mean, Edwin definitely has that old looking only an old Englishman can get.
Yeah,
you know what I'm saying?
Totally.
Yeah, this is very them and very modern sounding too at the same time.
Yeah, it's got like old school prog sentimentality with like very, very forward synthesizer.
Yeah, like that plug up synthesizer stuff right there is very modern.
It's all the levels that are in there.
I know, it's unbelievable.
Yeah.
It definitely lives up to the Floatyverse name.
Yeah, it's got their signature Ozric bubbles.
It's a cool cover too. It's a cool like old school like prog rock album cover. If that is the album cover, I'm just trying to get up to it.
I think it is.
That's cool looking. That would be good vinyl.
Ooh, that's sick.
Is it real drums or programmed drums?
Probably programmed, but the very, very first couple Ozric albums that were in the 80s, they all had pre-programmed drums, and I couldn't believe it. He's really good at writing the drums.
But that's really ahead of the time for that stuff too. That's like
definitely.
Nowadays, a lot of guys are using, in far as the guitar stuff, it's a lot of people doing solo stuff with programmed drums instead of finding bands, which is good. That almost sounds like live drums with those fills there. I wonder, maybe it's a mix.
I like the bass line.
It's a very classic prog rock keyboard tone. That's very like more of a modern synth touch, but it's also like that sort of
arpeggiation,
yeah, like a 70s like sample and hold sort of thing too, which is cool. Yeah, I would think this was Ozric, which is cool, It's cool because there's a lot of prog bands that play music that's clearly they've listened, the scale-wise is derived from like Eastern music, but there's nothing Eastern at all about this phrasing-wise or anything. And it's like it's a very cool thing because prog rock and jam bands often like they'll take scales from Eastern music, but they'll have none of the understanding of the phrasing and stuff.
Right.
So I guess to a Western ear, it kind of sounds Eastern, but it really has nothing to do with any sort of Eastern music. But it sounds awesome. It really has a cool sound because they're playing cool shit in a cool scale. So it's like a third sound. It's like a Western people using Eastern scales in a Western context, and so it ends up because every prog band or jam band plays one thing in that scale, that that mode right there, and it's an interesting sound because it's like it's so devoid from like any Eastern traditional stuff from anything, but it's clearly not like a Western tonality. So, but it's a very Western phrasing and everything. That's something I like about Osric a lot.
Yeah, it really gives his music like a whimsical fairy tale type of vibe to me.
Yeah,
because it sounds so foreign and so like somewhere else. And I feel like that's what Ed does such a good job at taking you to other places, taking you alien worlds, deep jungles, deep oceans,
exactly.
and
not specific places on this planet, like
yeah,
cool cosmic
exactly,
shit.
exactly, different biomes, and I feel that one of the tools in his toolbox is being able to use that phrasing that you're talking about. He does it really well.
Yeah.
And his guitar playing is like my favorite.
It almost sounds like
he's
synth guitar sometimes with what he has on it.
But he's good with the whammy bar. He's really underrated. Not enough people ever mention him in stuff, especially people in the jam scene. Like I feel like he should be like
they should be more well known.
They have a thing clearly, but it's like a very interesting thing. Like I feel the jam scene people should know more about them. They would like Osric a lot.
Oh, definitely. I mean, if you like Lotus, Sound Tribe, the Disco Biscuits,
right,
Uncle's
exactly.
McGee, you would freak out over this band that was doing it 20 years before they were.
Right. Because when we played with them, I remember at least in New York City, we played with them in our hometown, and we played with them in Colorado, where they are living now.
Well, I love this like ethereal thing he's doing right now.
That's a fun change.
That's like a very 80s synth sound. It's like Peter Gabriel prog rock stuff. This is cool. This sounds like Soft Machine. I don't know if anyone, classic prog rock nerds out there, recognizes the Soft Machine. It sounds like Soft Machine. I love those layers of bubbling psychedelic sounds. I'm always a big fan of that.
He puts in a lot of work putting them in everywhere. He's really
studio album.
Yeah, he's really good at fattening up the sound.
Yeah. Yeah, like that turning the delay speed up and down on that thing there is cool. He comes from an era when people would really like give albums a repeated listen on headphones without like distractions and shit. So like it made sense to put a lot of details in because people were going to pay attention to your music. That's a thing that's lost now when people mostly listen to music on like their laptop or as the background to something, a song or two here or there by a band. It's you don't get to create that like that cool narrative or world or something.
Oh yeah, I remember totally like laying on the carpet with headphones on, closing my eyes, listening to an entire album. The only time you pause is when we flip it over.
Or just like getting the shit the day it came out and being like, I'm gonna now listen to it all the way through, and then even if you didn't like it, I'm gonna listen to it again, and then you may be like, oh, this is actually
grow
great.
To like it.
Yeah,
right.
Yeah, my favorite album ever. We're going to listen to a song from it later. The first time I heard it, I was like, I don't really like it. And then the second time I heard it, it totally changed my whole life. And so it's like one of those sort of things,
I feel like most of my favorite music, I didn't like it the first time I listened to it. And then also I want to comment that I totally agree with you, Gabe. I think that, like, for example, like when you listen to a vinyl record, it's like an active thing. Like you're actively doing it. And I feel like when people
Yeah.
listen to Spotify, they just kind of like flip through, like, like they're doing other
Playlist.
things. It's a passive listening as opposed to active listening, right? And when
I
you're
mean, even cassettes. I grew up with cassettes. And a cassette, you put it on,
right.
and you played the side of the cassette. And so if your favorite song was the third song, unless you wanted to like fast forward to it, you had to listen to song number 1 and song number 2, and maybe those become the songs you like.
And I think also that with a cassette, it ends, and then you have to change it out. So because it
You got to flip it
ends,
over.
you have to listen in to make sure that you know when the end is coming, so then you can make an action to continue it, as opposed to when you're
And you were
listening
aware
to
of the A side and the B side.
right.
You
right,
were aware
right.
of like, oh, the B side is fresh or something. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
Like you were
right.
aware of that sort
Yeah,
of thing,
and then
which is
also
cool.
I like that because that means that albums were essentially 2 mini albums, because a lot of bands, they do that on
That's
purpose
true.
with their song choice in making the 2
Yeah.
sides distinct from each other, which is
Well, that's
something
the
that's
thing about
lost.
vinyl. That's like as being in a band that has very long songs, whenever we put out vinyl, we've actually had to change the track order from our CDs to make shit fit on the sides of vinyl.
Yeah.
Like on we had a double album, we had a few songs that were 15, 18 minutes long, and we couldn't put the same order because it just wouldn't have fit on the album. So we had to come up with different orders for like the vinyl, And that's a thing bands would do back in the day. Like side 2 would be 3 songs in a suite or something, and side 1 would be like a bunch of short songs or something.
Definitely. And also some bands I know have to like split their songs in half and put like a fade out or just an abrupt
Yeah,
cutoff.
we've avoided that really hard, trying to like,
Yeah, that's never the best
we
move.
would rather change. Yeah, we'd rather change the order of the album around than cut something in the middle. Man, that's just not. I couldn't do that.
Cool, man. So you said that you've played music with the Osric Tentacles before opening up for them. That must have been must have been great.
That was fun. That was a good. The crowd was very interesting mix of young and old, which I like.
Yeah, definitely. It's always, they have like a lot of mysticism behind it. It kind of reminds me of the Grateful Dead. The Grateful Dead have a lot of mysticism behind it, behind them, and so do they. There's their story and things like that.